6 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m., it is Tuesday, August 6, 2019, 58 degrees outside. We're looking for a high in the 80s today. Wow, man, what a nice morning it is, except for only one thing. It's Tuesday,
It's Tuesday.
the worst day of the week, second Monday, and I hate Tuesday, but hey, we're here, and we're going to have a good time. Jeff Krauss will join us at 8 o'clock, and we'll see what the city's up to and what's going on with them. And, well, they just have a whole lot of things going on today. So we'll dive right in. Weather right now, we're looking for mostly sunny with a high near 88 today. And tonight, partly cloudy, 55. No real rain in the forecast coming up for the next couple of days. Tomorrow, Wednesday, it's going to be 84 and partly cloudy. Virtually zero chance of rain, but the rain comes in on Thursday and stays for a while. Thursday, high of 84, 55 the overnight low, mostly cloudy. Afternoon thunder showers in the forecast. Friday, we're looking at 80 degrees for a high and more rain virtually on-off all day long. And then Saturday and Sunday, we got afternoon thunderstorms and isolated thunderstorms for those 2 days. And the temperatures will go down a little bit. Saturday, we're looking for a high of 78. Sunday, a high of 71. And Monday, the rain moves out and a high of 72 and sunny on Monday. So you get a crummy weekend for whatever you're going to do this weekend. And then we'll just go on from there, I guess. So,
Well, the old man is a regular meteorologist. What's an isolated thunderstorm?
Well, that means that it's only in a specific spot. So,
This
you're
like adding that to your toolbox, don't you?
Right. This will be at a 2-acre farm near Manhattan.
There you go. and they need an extra dose. Right?
That's right. Just to be precise. Temperatures around the area right now, Livingston is 59 degrees, Manhattan is 55, Three Forks 57, let's see, Galton Gateway is 57 also, and Anna's 54, Big Sky is 49, and at the airport in Belgrade it's 55 degrees, and fair right now we're at 58 degrees here in our studios in downtown Bozeman, and happy to get your weather out to you. It's so exciting, and Shane can't wait for this day in history because he is prepared, man. He is doing the job. He is ready to rock and roll because we've got such history today. I don't know what to do with it. We start in 1825 when Upper Peru became the Autonomous Republic of Bolivia. Wow. The Bolivia de Havilland.
It's amazing what goes on in other continents throughout the world, and now throughout history. As you know, Simón Bolivar, basically freed South America from the Spanish. Mm-hmm. And it's funny. Bolivia is an interesting country. 11.5 million people. They have a pretty good GDP and $90 billion for that. That's not bad for 11.5 million people.
Yeah.
The per capita income is eight grand, so that's not bad. But the amazing thing was Simon Bolivar gave Jose de Sucre, who was the leader of Venezuela, he said you could either join together, and create the United Province of Rio de la Plata, which would be Peru or Bolivia, and he said no, we're going to split it and we're going to name one after you. So that's what happened. That's how countries are just formed out of thin air on the 6th of August, 1825. Bolivia appeared. Oh, landlocked, of course. That doesn't go well.
Yeah. Don't they have the most airports of any place in the world too?
they do, because it's such a mountainous region.
Yeah, you got to fly everywhere. You can't drive anywhere, so you got to fly all over the place. So yeah.
And the northeastern part of it's actually in a part of the Amazon. The western side of the Amazon, of course. Yeah. Interesting country. It's basically, commodities-based, country. There's no real industry in the country.
Yeah.
So, but the next story is my favorite.
I was going to say, get ready, folks.
Folks, now I know why everyone's scared to go to the dentist.
That's
the
right.
reason is, in 1881, a Buffalo, New York dentist named Alfred P. Southwick developed the electric chair. as a human alternative to hanging and was first used in the United States in 1890. The only other country that it uses it is the Philippines. And its primary results was to create ventricular fibrillation and eventually cardiac arrest. But of course, wasn't quick enough, and so by what was it, 2000 in the 90s, 1990, it was cruel, determined cruel and inhuman. So now they go to the lethal injection as a choice for prisoners. But some states allow a choice.
Yeah, they got rid of the gas chamber around the same time, I think, same reason. That
Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, and Virginia, and Kentucky, you may choose the injection or the electric chair. What a choice!
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Yeah.
Can I have my my T-bone steak and potatoes and
on my lap?
Yeah, asparagus to my last meal, and I'll take the chair.
That's right. Yeah, I can eat my last meal while I'm vibrating there.
Yeah, and by the way, the Nebraska Supreme Court, February 8, 2008. Determined it was cruel and unusual punishment. Yeah. I wonder what the victims would have thought.
I think they would be quite happy with cruel and unusual because I think their victims experience cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I don't know. We become such wimps, We used to hang people in public, and now all of a sudden we, oh my gosh, I don't know. Anyway,
well, the thing about it is hanging in public was to shame people and to create fear, but it was also to shame people, right?
Yeah. Well, I would think executions in public would be somewhat of a deterrent to some people, particularly if you watched them die in the electric chair or the gas chamber.
Well, we'll know where the world's going.
Or hanging, either one.
Yeah. And we'll know where the world's going if they start publicizing executions. But I think it's a pretty much of a lost cause. Canada doesn't have it.
Well, we might be able to get rid of the national debt if we made it pay-per-view.
Oh, geez, you're terrible. I can't believe you just said that. Like boxing.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. After boxing, we'll execute Joe Smith in Texas.
Yeah, between the 8th and 9th round.
Yeah, we'll do a quick interview with Joe before we light him up.
Yeah, take me out to the prison.
Right. Well, speaking of baseball, in 1890, Hall of Fame pitcher Cy Young made his major league debut with the Cleveland Spiders of the National League. How would you like to play for the Cleveland Spiders? Wow.
Yeah, well, what are they now? The
Indians.
Yeah, the Indians. I think Indians is better than Spiders.
I'd agree.
I hate spiders.
Yeah, we all do. Nobody likes spiders.
Yeah, well, snakes.
Well, snakes too. I mean, they're the same. Spiders are just longer snakes. That's all. Yeah. So anyway, the interesting thing about Cy Young, and when you think about it, the guy pitched for 20-some years, I think, right?
Yeah, he did. He was
something like that.
A machine.
Yeah. Well, 20 years, he pitched 800 games. I mean, that's 30 games a year or more for 20 years.
Yeah, and he was like the Babe, Mm-hmm. He wasn't one of these guys that went and worked out, 3 hours a day or anything.
No.
Once he had his pitch down flat, hard,
mm-hmm.
so to speak,
he
figured, I don't need to get stronger to do this. I just got to stay in shape to do it,
mm-hmm. And,
but he did get a little. He did pork up a bit towards the end, right?
Well, probably. I think a lot of us do when we're athletes, and you're exercising every day, just playing in the game, and particularly being a pitcher.
Yeah. Well, have you seen? Oh my gosh, I can't think of the guy that got shot in the baseball player from Boston, the batter. What was his name? That got shot when he was on holiday.
Oh, when
Perez? He was batting. Yeah, my gosh, when he was batting, he was like 300 pounds. You see him now today, retired, and he's like down to 200 pounds. It's an amazing difference.
I don't know. Well,
You
anyways.
get behind that ball, and it'll go a long way.
Well, anyway, Cy Young won 511 games. Wow. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And an earned run average, if you don't know what that is, if he's pitching and his team gets more than 2.63 runs, they're going to win.
Wow,
Yeah,
what an arm.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's pretty amazing. 2,800 strikeouts.
And they usually throw between 80 to 100 pitches a game, so that's a lot of stress on your arm. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, they'll usually take you out now after about 6 innings. They expect to get 6 innings out of a starter. Every once in a while they'll let somebody go a full game, but rarely. So yeah, we've got middle relievers. We're such wimps. Jeez, man, we've just become. I mean, there were pitchers back in the day that pitched double headers. I know. They pitch one game, they come out and they pitch it the second game, and I think that's what Cy Young did too back in the back in the day, because he was born in 1867 and lived tonight.
And they were lucky if they made $50,000 a year.
Oh yeah, they didn't make any kind of money at all. I mean, Ruth made, gosh, what would be equivalent of millions today, but $100,000 or something like that, I think was what at his peak that he got.
Well, they had to build a bigger stadium to be able to afford to pay him.
Well, that's true. They did. The house that Ruth built. Yeah, they had to get more tickets to pay him off. Had to get more of those 10-cent tickets.
That's right. The radio broadcasting was basically free. They used it as a marketing tool. So
that's true.
Oh well, Jamaica, right. Man. Next, we got to talk about Jamaica.
Okay. Well, good. I can't wait. All right. we got
Tuesday morning.
We got to take care of the truck drivers, the farmers, the ranchers, everybody that gets stuff to you somehow, some way. Montana News and Ag Headwaters Livestock Report coming up. 23 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It is Tuesday, August 6, 2019. It's 58 degrees outside. Looking for a high in the mid to high 80s today. Got up to almost 90 yesterday. It was pretty warm out, Shane. So.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, we had quite a nice day yesterday. Got a little shower after evening, and of course we had our nightly earthquake, of course, too. So that kind of helped out. So never a dull moment here in Montana.
No. You got to be excited. Look what's in your backyard, super volcano, and not everyone has that.
I know. Every time these earthquakes occur, I figure Yellowstone's getting ready to blow. There won't be a job to have, Shane, in another couple months. So
that 600,000-year-old date, that everyone's waiting for may happen at any moment.
I was going to say, well, they had one in where they have one. Was it Oregon that you felt in Vancouver? It was like a 23 miles down or something like that back in July, I think it was. And, right. Pretty. That'll shake you out of bed and get you up.
Yeah. Well, you got to worry about Baker and Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier because they're basically active. They're active volcanoes.
Yeah. Well, they're further away though. Mount St. Helens didn't hurt us, but if Yellowstone goes, half of Montana will be gone, and Wyoming and probably Colorado and everywhere else, east and west.
Yeah, and the Northern Hemisphere.
I was going to say there's just going to be a great big hole in Nebraska and North and South Dakota and Montana and Idaho.
That's
so
right.
I don't know, in Wyoming, I guess, too. So anyway, in 1914, on this date, I bet you can't wait to find out about Austria and Hungary because they declared war against Russia, and Serbia declared war against Germany at the outbreak of World War I. I didn't realize Serbia was around in 1914. I thought they were one of those created countries of the Ottoman Empire or somewhere around in that area, but I guess not. So,
no, after World War I, prior to World War I, it was not joined together. After World War II, it became Yugoslavia with Serbia and Croatia and so forth. Yeah. But anyway, it's an interesting thing because of the politics and the involvement that Russia had in that part of the world because Russia was a landlocked country basically,
Hmm.
and they used Eastern Europe to try to get to a sea, which has always been the whole issue that Russia's had for millennia. It's how do we get to an ocean that's not frozen to have an open port?
Right. Yeah.
And
And surprisingly, next to, well, I they're the closest country to the United States, closer than Cuba, even, I believe.
yeah, exactly.
Across the Bering Strait or whatever that
Bering
strait
Sea,
is.
yeah.
Or
The North Pole.
yeah, yeah, that too.
Yeah, you can see Russia from your house in Alaska. Remember?
Yeah,
That
that's
was,
right. Yeah, yeah.
and they, of course, were smart enough to sell Alaska to us. Wow. I bet that realtor got fired.
I would bet. Yeah, yeah. He's.
I mean, firing squad. I mean,
Well, yeah, yeah. Good thing Putin was around then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, nobody saw a use for it, but too far north and nothing
You
but
did.
mountains and stuff, and it's still only about 500,000 people live there, and half of those
Yeah.
live in Anchorage.
And get a check from the state every month.
They do get a check from the state. Yes, they do. For their oil money. We should get in on
All
that
money.
deal.
Yeah, all money.
All money, all money. Got some all. Got some all there.
Now, the only reason I want to mention Jamaica is because, between 1600 and
Mhm.
1700, most of the indigenous people of the Caribbean were wiped out. But there still are some indigenous people of Jamaica.
Yeah.
They only represent 0.8% of the population, and,
Oh.
and that's why I wanted to mention it. It's a great place, I think.
Be
Never
careful.
been. I've never been there, so I don't know. But,
Be careful. I don't want you to make a mistake.
very good. 9 million people. Nice GDP, 27 billion, mostly 80% tourism, but $9,500 per capita income for people living on a little island that you can live anywhere. So that's just to buy food.
Mhm.
Everywhere else, you want to go anywhere, you can pretty well walk.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Any place is within walking distance. You have enough time.
the indigenous people are known as the Yame
Mhm.
or Taino.
Yeah.
And it was part of a very large empire, actually, that was in the Caribbean and Central America.
Yeah.
But go read your, Central American history. Fascinating. The empires that existed while Europe was in the Middle Ages. It's pretty remarkable stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Lots was going on around the world. But,
Amen to that. It never ends, does it?
yeah. Now the voting. This is great. This is a day for the Voting Rights Act of '65, and
Yeah.
we may or may not talk about it after this break.
Well, we will talk about it because we also want to talk about the anthrax attacks and other stuff that's
right.
coming up. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane, and we'll return right after the news. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Tuesday, August 6, 2019, 58 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line with me, half man, half amazing. And he is, of course, in Vancouver, British Columbia, in the heart of Canada. Well, it's sort of in the, I don't know, it's the bottom, it's the end of Canada, I guess.
Yeah. It's the last city of Canada. There you go. East, west, west,
Yeah, right. Let's see. From our text line, 478-8298. Good. Tom can't walk on roadway in Jamaica. Road's too narrow. There's a saying amongst Jamaicans, Jamaica enough problem. So there you are.
That's very good.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
So what they're suggesting is that you're a wide load on a Jamaican
That's
street.
right. I'm a wide load on those.
That's very nice. That's not very nice.
Let's see. These rage crimes coincide with the internet. Many people love the killing grams, and Facebook is fake. Basically, a huge letdown any way you look at it. So, and they say it's Trump's fault. They've evolved into monsters. So, there we go.
What can you say? I guess we were going to talk about that later, but
We will. We've got to
the
talk
voting
about
rights-
Yeah, right now we got to talk about the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that President LBJ Lyndon Baines Johnson signed.
Yeah, it was designated to enforce the 14th and 15th Amendment, And the interesting thing about it is it had general provisions and the act also contained numerous provisions that regulate elections specifically. Interestingly enough, the act went to the court system because it was challenged, and particularly Section 5, which had a pre-clearance requirement that certain jurisdictions, if they implemented any changes, had to get approval from the U.S. Attorney General and the U.S. District Court of D.C. The important thing is the case of Shelby County versus Holder, Holder as in your Attorney General Holder. Anyway, the U.S. Supreme Court struck it down in 2013. The coverage formula they declared was unconstitutional. So basically, it took away the provisions and the certain conditions, and now they're back to the original, 14th and 15th Amendments, which the Supreme Court in their decision said clearly protects people and the right to vote. But anyway, there you go. Sort of one of those things that the left went through to designate and make it stronger. They were losing the South, and Johnson saw it coming with Nixon in the '60 election. So really, he did this politically to try and get back the vote in the South that they were losing.
Well, that's why Kennedy was in Dallas when he got shot, because he was trying to make a tour through there and bolster the Southern that they felt they were losing because of the Civil Rights Act and everything else. They wanted to keep control of the Democrats in Texas and Louisiana and all across the coast.
Yeah, him and Johnson was the majority leader of the Senate at the time, and they almost lost Texas to Nixon in the '60 election. So it was one of those. That election was decided with less than 50,000 votes.
Yep.
So
all in Chicago. Surprisingly.
Yes. Chicago they took, Cook County they took, and then they took the state of Illinois. That's right.
Yeah. Well, in 1978, Pope Paul VI died at the age of 80. Quite a guy.
Yeah, well, he was ordained in 1920. Wasn't a real big supporter in any way of the Jewish people during World War II. There's a lot of controversy over that. But the important thing about him was he was followed by John Paul I, who was only there for 3 months, and then the famous John Paul II came and changed the world.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Well, in 2007, on this date, the Crandall Canyon mine in central Utah collapsed, trapping 6 coal miners. All 6 died, along with 3 rescuers. So pretty nasty disaster there.
Yeah, it was one of these coal mines, that was an adit. Most of them are, and dug underground. And I've been in a coal mine. It's a scary thing.
It is.
The space down there is like less than 6 feet. It's for a flat. It's for a flat vehicle to go through and dig out the seams because it's amazing as a commodity how coal exists underground. It's not you just.
Yeah, it's not like a big wall of coal. It's kind of little shafts of coal every few
rivers,
feet. Like rivers going through. Yeah. So, all right.
But yeah, it's not a safe place to be.
Yeah, no, it isn't. All right, we got to take another quick break. We're back in 2 minutes. 16 minutes before the top of the hour. It is Tuesday, August 6th, 2019, 57 degrees outside, looking for a high of 80, 89, 88, 87.
Thank gosh you're not talking about baseball scores.
That's right, yeah.
Crazy. Okay, we got to talk about Bruce Edward Ivins real quick. And
we do.
He was an American microbiologist. Now, folks, this guy worked at what was called the anagram is U.S. AMRID, which stands for the United States Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases. Now, this is a laboratory they have to study major diseases. 5 levels. You've seen it in the movies.
Yeah.
The only other place like this is at the CDC. Now, here's the problem. Apparently, he decided he didn't like several members of Congress. So he he took anthrax from that place.
Yeah.
And in July 29, 2008, he died of an overdose of Tylenol and codeine, because he thought he was going to be charged by the FBI. He never was, although he did die. But I have to mention this. Look at this. Senator Chuck Grassley, still in the House as a Republican from Iowa.
Yeah.
Arlen Specter, who used to be a senator from Pennsylvania, Rush Holt from New Jersey, and Gerald Nadler from New York.
Wow.
Chubby Chicken could have been nixed by anthrax. But he did send it, apparently, to some of these places. And the thing about it is, it's one of those cases where you're driving down the highway, you get in an accident, you thought, I'd never happen to me.
Yeah.
The scary thing is the people working in these places, you think they'd never do this, right? They'd never take that stuff outside. And guess what, folks? It does happen.
It does happen, yeah. Well, he killed 5 people in 2001. This was in 2008. They declared that he was responsible for the attack 7 years previous. But he, as you pointed out, he committed suicide, overdosing with various chemicals.
Yeah, and there's no way of knowing because he sent them to Republicans and Democrats where he really stood. But, someone has a yank for somebody, and then, wow, that's a scary thing. That's like that guy. Did you see the guy that was drugging his wife's coffee so she'd fall asleep driving to work?
I guess I missed that one. Yeah, so
I think it was in Texas, and she noticed that that she would get drowsy going to work after having coffee, so she put a camera over the coffee machine and videotaped him dumping it into her coffee.
Oh, really? Well, bless her heart.
Oh, bless her heart.
Yeah.
And then she didn't want him to go to prison.
I see. Yeah. He was just misunderstood. That's his problem. Yeah, we'll go to counseling. We'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just an issue.
All right. 2008, a U.S. military jury convicted Osama bin Laden's former driver, Salam Hamdan, of supporting terrorism in the first war crimes trial at Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
What a guy.
And nothing since, really. I mean,
not really, yeah. Yep, they're... Well, the ones that Obama released, I guess everybody else that he didn't release is still there. So,
yeah, there you go, buddy. Yeah.
Well, in 2009, the face of the Supreme Court changed. Sonia Sotomayor was confirmed as the first Hispanic Supreme Court justice by a vote of 68-31.
Yeah, she must be a good friend of Cortez. She's from the Bronx in New York City, Puerto Rican as well. So there you go. It's one of these things that this is one of the big things the president does, right?
That's what I say. If you want an excuse to vote for Trump again, it's the Supreme Court by all means.
And the federal court,
Well, that too, a lot. In fact, courts all over the country. If you want to get back to the Constitution and America.
Well, at the rate he's going after 2 years, he could replace 400 of the 600 judges in the United States in the federal system, which would change the court system for the next 30 to 50 years. But
particularly if he has the support of the, if they lose the Senate in this next election and lose the House, then, boy, it's going to be tough to confirm any judges anywhere.
I'm not going to discuss the 2020 election with you on a Tuesday, okay? It's just not going to happen, okay? It's just not going to happen, okay? You're rocking my house here. Lose the Senate. Give me a break.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, let's go to 2011 because insurgents shot down a U.S. military helicopter in Afghanistan, killing 30 Americans. Most of them belonged to the elite Navy commando unit that had slain Osama bin Laden. 7 Afghan commandos also died. So quite a
deal. And that helicopter that you're talking about has been replaced with the Osprey, which is a really piece of amazing equipment. It's basically it's a C-5 with two engines, propeller engines that can turn vertical to take off like a helicopter, and then it still goes 300 miles an hour.
Zipping along, yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Well, in 2011, violence erupted in London amid anger over the fatal police shooting of a 29-year-old father of 4. Rioting and looting spread to other parts of the city and other English cities over the next several days, leaving 5 dead.
Yeah, and the reason about this is that Mark Duggan was the man that was killed, but you know, it was a over a clash with regards to a double-decker bus that got in an accident. But the thing about London is it's one of the largest cities in the world. It's over 12 million, and it now goes all the way from where it was several kilometers up the Thames to to the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing about this ride in England, which hadn't happened in a millennium, is that it started the 6th in London, and from the 8th to the 10th, it went clear across the country. It was like, I don't know if people know England or not, but I'm going to throw these names out just so you learn some of the cities in England: Birmingham, Leeds, Coventry, Leicester, Derby, Wolverhampton, Northampton, Nottingham, West Bromwich, Bristol, Liverpool, Manchester, Salford, and York. And these are all the major cities of England. So it's sort of like the yellow vests in France today.
Yeah.
Or the racial riots the U.S. experienced back in the 60s and 70s. And something happens, it can start a fire, baby.
There you go. Notable birthdays today. Lucille Ball was born on this date in 1911, died in 1989, I should say. And also Lord Alfred Tennyson, English poet, raised to the peerage in 1884. Born on this date in 1892, died at the age of 83. And let's see, also Luella Parsons, 91 when she died. She was born in 1881, died in 1972. She was a columnist and had a big rivalry with her nemesis, and I can't remember the name of the nemesis. Parsons and guys, there was a movie about the two of them. They competed.
Yeah,
they competed for. They were like people in Us magazine competing against each other for the. I can't remember the other one. Somebody out there will know. They
somebody
can
tell us.
522 or text us with that info there. So. Dutch Schultz, American bootlegger, born on this date in 1902, died at the age of 33. I'll bet he didn't die of natural causes either.
You're so bad.
I know.
Let's get the phones ringing.
Yeah. Robert Mitchum, movie star, Thunder Road, born on this date in 1917, lived at the age of 79. And Andy Warhol, best known for instituting the pop art movement, his Campbell soup can painting, things like that, whatever. Died at the age of 58. And so that'll wrap it up for that. And we got to take another break. And once again, we're back in 2 minutes. 5 minutes for the top of the hour. It is Tuesday, August 6, 2019, 57 degrees outside. Welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane, and happy to have you along with us, and thanks for taking us with you on your local, whatever you're doing today, I guess.
Local travels.
That's right. Well, big news in Bozeman, Shane, once again. No, it's not a mass shooting. No, they didn't sell the Bearcat. No, Chris Mell hasn't admitted he voted for Trump. No, none of that no. Off the wall news. Our big story today, above the fold, cat in a tree. Cat in a tree.
Cat in a tree.
For 5 days. Cat in a tree for 5 days. So,
what was it? Too tall for the ladders?
It was too tall for the ladders. Yeah, it's an 85-foot spruce tree, and the cat climbs up to the top of the tree, I guess. And Nikki, the cat, is up there, and the owner can't coax the cat down. And the fire department came, police department came, everybody came with ladders and those buckets that go up wherever, and but nobody had anything high enough to get this cat down, and they were concerned after 4 days without food and water. Then of course the liver and the organs start to go on animals. They don't have any food or water for that length of time.
They couldn't dangle a rat in front of it or something.
Well, they tried putting tuna or cat food on the end of a pole, and boy, they couldn't get this cat's not moving. So Anyway, finally, Alex, Richard, and Davis Johnson show up from the fire department. And they got climbing gear, so they climb the tree and get the cat. So
no one thought of calling a logger. Yeah,
apparently not. So anyway, after 5 days, and I don't know how many fire trucks they sent out there, how many police or whatever came out to look at this situation. And she thought about cutting down the tree, this 100-year-old tree, this 100-year-old 85. I don't know what the cat's going to do when the tree comes crashing down, but I don't know. But anyway.
They should have called the CIA, get blow phones out there with sound to bother it, and lights, get bright lights.
Well, I don't know, man. The cat's up there meowing, getting hoarse and everything. But anyway, two guys with the fire crew off duty came over with their climbing gear. They said, we're going to get this cat down. So they climbed up there, and all is well that ends well. The cat is, I guess, okay, even after 5 days with no food and water. So we wish the cat's got 8 more lives. So
no one had a dart gun, a hypo dart gun. I mean, like you think about it and you go, like there's 5 or 6 ways you think they could get it down.
Well, you'd think so, yeah. You would think they would, but I don't know. Anyway, but. Toss up a smoke grenade with rope on it so it hangs in there and smokes him out. Smoke that cat out. Let's get from our text line 4788298. A 22 would get the cat out of the tree pretty easily.
There you go.
That'll work. That would be a good one. Yeah, we'll take care of the cat with that.
Wow.
So
that's a great story. I just like. Wouldn't you like to know the cost of that? It had to be $50,000.
I have no idea. I don't know. Well, I think they came out and looked and left. So we can't get up there. So we'll see you later.
This is the Eagleman's Tuesday morning. Okay?
That's it. So Tuesday morning. That's the best news I've got on Tuesday morning.
Entertainment.
We got a cat in a tree. No drug dealers captured. No bear cat sold. No, the city commission hasn't flipped to conservative. So I don't know. But we got a cat in a tree. That's above the fold news. So there we are.
That's bound to go viral. All those, animal stories do go viral.
More than likely, that will be the case. But
yeah.
All right, we come back. We got to talk about earthquakes and the 5 things you need to know and some other stuff. So Jeff Krauss will join us at 8 o'clock, talk about what's going on with the city and what they've been up to. So stay tuned for that. And Shane and I will return right after Fox News and Montana State News and Brady Foster or Brady, whatever her name is, Brady Brewster with the weather. So we'll be right back. Hour number 2 of the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane is on the air. It is 6 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. It is Tuesday, August 6, 2019, 57 degrees outside. Looking for a high today in the high 80s. High 80s today and no chance of rain, so enjoy the day. We are, right, Shane?
That's right.
We're having a high old time here. Well, in case you didn't know, we tape all of our shows here at KMMS, so you'll never miss a show or any part of a show if you got to go to work or you got to, you didn't hear all of a segment or something like that. Oh, my God, you can get it so easily. And it doesn't cost 15 cents a day or any of the other like that Coast to Coast or Rush Limbaugh, where they take the money off you, or that Fox News or their Fox Nation thing. You got to subscribe or pay for it. Not us. We put it out for free.
Just 2 old white men trying to overtalk each other.
That's right. Hey,
and neither of us are running for president.
That's right. Well, at least not yet, anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Shane's going to run for prime minister.
Yeah, what a field lawn sign, Tom and Shane.
That's right. All right.
Sounds like a 60 cartoon.
Yeah, we're up to 1,259 downloads of our shows. 1,259 downloads of 202 shows. and that's pretty impressive. I think. I don't know. It's
Well, if those 1,202 people came to the show a week ago,
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they were there. Yeah. 2 weeks
you
ago.
would have half your raffle tickets.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we had a nice evening with some listeners, and we gave away a bunch of stuff, and it was a fun evening. And we'll see if we can't make it a yearly event, maybe. So it depends on if Shane can get out of Canada without his handlers knowing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of the home.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Getting away from U.S. Marshals is not easy.
It's not easy, man, when you got all these people there wanting to keep track of you. So we appreciate Shane being here, of course, for any of that. So let's see. Well, the other thing we got to talk about, Shane, we've got to talk about the Manhattan earthquake here. We had a 4.0, which they think is aftershocks from the big one that we had earlier. And we've had earthquakes there anywhere from 2.5 to 3.6 in magnitude. And there could have been smaller shakes also that went undetected. But anyway, the U.S. Geographical Survey can't predict when or how large an earthquake will be, but it's likely that the area would continue to experience aftershocks from that. I'm not sure how you tell what's an aftershock and what's not. What's a new earthquake? I guess it's wherever it is, like a ripple from throwing a rock in the pond or something. You get a so you got to throw another rock in to get another bunch of ripples going. So, not sure how that.
The bottom line is they're guessing.
They're guessing. Yeah, I think that's probably right. Yeah. Well, they indicated that the USGS again indicated that people within a 150-mile radius of the quake's epicenter reported feeling them. And, of course, I was dead to the world at 10 o'clock last night, so I didn't feel it. The wife told me we had one. So,
and if it had been a bigger earthquake, you would have ended up dead to the world.
Yeah. Well, this isn't the right. This isn't the first or the biggest earthquake Manhattan has experienced. In '74, they got a 4.4 magnitude quake over there that shook the area. And they recorded 4.0 earthquakes in Manhattan in 75 and 89. So people who feel earthquakes can make a report at earthquake.usgs.gov. Earthquake.usgs.gov. So I know the other night I was sitting there. I think it was on a Friday night because I wasn't. I was up later than normal, and I'm sitting there.
With a beer in hand?
Several adult beverages on the counter there. I'm sitting there in my recliner relaxing, and all of a sudden the recliner's moving around, I remember
you said you thought to yourself, I didn't put a quarter in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I didn't put a quarter in my chair. So I remember the first earthquake I experienced in California. I'm getting ready for work, and I'm standing in the bathroom, and I'm shaving, and I don't feel anything, but I look down in the toilet, and the water is gushing back and forth. It's jumping around in the toilet, and I'm going, "What the heck is wrong with this toilet?" Then it dawned on me that we're having an earthquake. Oh my God, where's the basement?
My scariest, I think, was 97. And if you go I-5 south from here to Seattle, Tacoma, it goes under the city of Seattle, I-5.
Yeah.
So, and so we're driving going down there for a business trip, 5 people in the car. Mm-hmm. And we take an exit from underground to come up to a building. And as we're coming up from under the city, there's an earthquake.
Oh.
And by the time we came up out and around into a parking lot, and it was still sort of like I'm thinking that could have been underground. I could have been under the city.
You could have been under the city in this tunnel.
Oh my God, that was scary. To me, that was scary. Yeah.
That would be scary because I'd have to be doing this alone, and that would really suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, from our text line, Trump better not do no gun control. Well, we'll see what he plans, and I'm sure Congress is gonna. Well, they're on recess, so they aren't back till September, sometime in September. So this will all blow over by then, and they won't have any gun control things to talk about. They'll still be talking about the election or impeaching Trump. So if Congress was in session right now, oh my God, they'd be writing bills right and left. But since they're
not only that, but these demolished party members that are running for president, I mean, they have all this video. I mean, Beto O'Rourke has to be finished, and what's his name, Booker. Both of them have to be, after what they said yesterday about blaming your president. I mean, it's on videotape. Like, I don't understand these people, Tom. You have to explain this to me. I really do.
Yeah. Well, I can't. I've never seen anything like this, and we've been covering elections. Well, I've been interested in politics, I guess, since Eisenhower and Stevenson.
Exactly.
I mean, watching those were the first conventions that were televised. And I'm sitting there mesmerized by our way our politicians are elected and the speeches they make and things like that. And I've just always been interested in it ever since then. But I've never seen anything like this.
But the argument is that they're playing to the Democratic progressive left base to get elected in the primary to be the nominee.
But that's a small base. That's a minor base of people. I mean, that's that'd be like
60 million people, right?
Well, it's not even. It isn't even that much. I doubt if there's more than, I don't know. Well, if you want to take New York City and L.A. and San Diego, I guess you could probably say there's probably 5 million total that are far left wackos. I think the rest. Yeah. I think the rest of the Democrats are probably normal people. They're just normal folks that we want jobs, we want a good economy, we want we don't want wars, we want help for those who need it, but we don't want to take them to raise.
Yeah, but let's just hypothetically, let's just say Beto gets the nomination and Booker's the vice president, okay? Can you imagine Beto and Trump and your vice president and Booker debating and them calling your vice president, your president, a racist?
Oh, yeah.
In a debate. I mean,
they probably would.
You think they would?
Well, I think so.
You do.
Oh yeah. Well, they already have. I mean, they've talked about it. I mean, the sound bites are endless of how racist Trump is. Oh my God. I know. I mean, based on what evidence, I don't know, but anyway.
Well, at least the Democrats are aware of the R, part of the dictionary. Russian, racist, racist.
That's pretty much. Yeah, they've got the R down pat. So yeah. Let's see. Take the guns first. Go through due process second. Donald J. Trump, 2/28/2018.
There you go.
Well, I think what he's saying. Yeah. Go ahead.
I just want to go over this real quick. Okay, mass shootings. Okay, 1966 to 2012, 292 incidents in the world. 90 of them occurred in your country. Now, a mass shooting is considered a person involved with a firearm who kills at least 4 people.
Right.
That's the definition. I'm not taking a side.
No, we've talked about that many times before. That's the definition. Yeah.
That's right. And the Washington Post, using a different formula, claims there's been 163 of these mass shootings between 1967 and June 2019. But two things. When you look at 292 incidents around the world, all these other countries are vastly smaller than the U.S. with a population of 350 million. Mm-hmm. And if you go on the FBI website, they'll tell you they're chasing 28 serial killers right now. And thirdly, 7 people died in Chicago and 52 people were shot.
Oh, yeah.
Why are they covering that story?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, they did for a while, but it's old news. Every weekend it happens, So
yeah, Baltimore, 200 people.
Yeah, Yeah, you got to get more
Still,
people dead or wounded for that to make the news in Chicago. So it's
no,
business
that was
as usual.
Baltimore.
It's business as usual. Yeah.
Usual business or people being shot in their cities? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
uh,
Oh well,
yeah.
it's a very sad thing, and our prayers go out to all the families.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be in the moment when you're dealing with death, and it's a very difficult thing to do because it's so harsh and it's such a reality.
Yeah.
You can't move away from being in the moment until you get past what
Mm-hmm.
has happened to you and your family. So,
True. Yeah.
we're coming up on a 2-year anniversary of the loss of my niece, and it's still painful. So
Mm-hmm. Sure.
as an uncle, I can tell you, I feel for all those families because it's a horrific thing. 34-year-old beautiful woman and gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's a difficult moment to live in.
So true. All right, we've got to take a quick break. Shane, we got caller waiting on the line. If you can entertain them, I'll be right back with more right after this. 21 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m. It's Tuesday, August 6, 2019. We got a caller on the phone. Caller, you are on the morning soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, gentlemen. It's Steve.
Hey, Steve.
So, the word racist is getting thrown around a lot. Some of us are getting very sick of it. But you brought up Chicago, and that just makes me think of something that I always have run in my mind, which is that how can we sit here and throw this label around, yet ignore the real racism that does happen? You want to talk about racism? Look at Chicago. Why is it that we ignore the demographics that 90% of the people who get shot and killed in Chicago are black?
Yeah.
You want to talk about racism, ignore all the black people being murdered. Let's just ignore that and do nothing about it.
Where is Black Lives Matter? They should be outside every abortion clinic, and they should be on the streets of Chicago saying, hey, stop shooting blacks.
Exactly. The hypocrisy of the media in our country to just blatantly ignore that's as big as racism as we had back in the 30s when they directly attacked black people.
Yeah.
Now we just ignore them. Oh, my God. It sends my blood pressure skyrocketing, guys. And I really wish that we could have a real discussion. Anytime that somebody labels a racist, why don't we ask them, well, what about the black people being killed in Chicago? You're a racist for ignoring them. And go from there because, guys, I'm frustrated, and I want to do something about it.
Yeah, well, you are. You're letting people know your feelings, and you're venting, so...
Yeah, well the occurrence, and luckily you guys listen to me.
Yeah.
The occurrence of large-scale migration in your country happened after the Civil War, and a lot of African Americans moved out of the South and went north to the big cities. And, they might be seriously should consider moving out of those big cities to rural areas of the U.S., not the suburbs, but rural areas. There's so many
I always wonder
incredible rural areas in your country that they could live safely. They really could.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and when you look at those major metropolises, they are losing population so fast, and I bet that some of them are. Black people trying to get out of that terrible environment. I wish they would, too. Yeah. Leave these places. It's not worth your time.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that's what I had to vent about.
All right, thanks for the call.
All
right, thanks for the call. Yeah. Let's see. From our text line, something we talked about yesterday, Shane, a little bit. Good morning, gentlemen. You're aware of the Kashmir War or conflict that occurred about 1947. It was a dispute between India and Pakistan over ownership of Jammu, I guess, and Kashmir. Citizens of the region have always been disappointed with the government of India. China intervened, even though they only had a 15% stake in the region. And tensions escalated between '89 and between the government and citizenry. What lessons learned should we take from this past situation? I think you two grizzled sages know what I'm hinting at, so please comment. So take it away, Shane.
Well, this is one of the largest forced migrations in the history of mankind when India became independent. And, the Sikhs and a lot of Muslims left India to to help me here. What's the country neighboring? I can't. I just went out of my head. And they both have nuclear weapons, and they
Pakistan.
Pakistan. Yeah, they just have a terrible liking for each other. But they couldn't decide on this northern frontier of Kashmir, and they've just sort of been literally fighting over it, since both countries, happened after World War II. And what's the solution? Well, in most cases, people say, well, let it become its own country, and then maybe that's the solution. But it's there's not much there, but a lot of ice on top of the.
I was going to say, yeah. Not much going on there.
Sort of stuck in a valley and in a large mountain range, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it's a religious and classic example of religious dispute and historical culture.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, similar. I think the texture's talking about what's going on here between the left and the right. We can't seem to sit at a table and agree on anything. So, and you could equate that to the same thing that happened in India, that they're just not going to agree on anything. So where do you go? You just, nothing happens.
That's right.
Yeah.
Politically, neither side can give it up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
India was just to say to Pakistan, okay, you take Kashmir, let's stop this ridiculousness. But, politically, they can't do it. Wow, that's very sad.
Yeah, it is. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you're on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, this is Aaron.
Hey.
Shane wanted to know what was going on, and you said you didn't know, and I know. This is the progressive America. This is the country, the immoral, the non-spiritual, the godless, the non-judgmental America that progressives wanted to build. That's where we're at right now.
Secularism, my friend.
It is. And everybody said when this shift started taking place that this stuff was going to happen. I remember when I was a kid, our pastors were warning us that these things were going to happen. And they're happening. This is what everybody said was going to happen. It's happening. And now the left, the progressives, they're all in denial that it's their fault. Well, the conservatives, and I'm not talking about Republicans, I'm talking about conservatives. The conservatives, they want to harken back to the times when none of this stuff was going on. And the progressives are denying them at every turn. So it's not the conservatives aren't to blame for this, and I wouldn't put Trump in the conservative category at all. I think he's the most liberal president that the Republicans have ever elected. But the conservative base, I think, we're not responsible for any of these shootings. This stuff never happened in the time period that we would like to go back to. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the issue right there. That last caller, what was he saying? He was saying that nobody cares about the people in Chicago. They're racist because they don't care about the people in Chicago. To be quite honest with you, we're killing 1,000 children a day in this country. Women and doctors are killing 1,000 children a day. There's 200 people that die every day in car accidents in this country. And I don't know how much emotional wealth people in this country have, but I can't see lamenting people that are victims of mass shootings to a degree that I'm willing to change and rip apart the fabric of this nation. Yeah. When we have 200 people a day dying in car accidents, we have thousands of babies a day.
Aaron, I got to go. Sorry.
Yeah, bye.
All right. Thanks.
Talk to you later.
All right. Thanks for the call. Yep, we're at the bottom of the hour here. Got about 20 seconds left, Shane. When we come back, we got a couple more news things to talk about, and then we'll chat about, the
market.
The week and the market. Yeah, well, the market's going to open right now. Yeah. So we come back, we'll see. We lost 800 points yesterday, or almost 800 points, so we'll be back to talk about that right after the news. So stay tuned. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Tuesday, August 6, 2019, 62 degrees outside, looking for a high in the Mid to high 80s today. Shay Matabin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. And Tommy Galoff, your morning mayor in the house. And calls are lining up, Shane. So let's take some phone calls. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you are on the morning soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
And I'm glad to be here.
Hey.
Hey, this new, I don't even know what they're calling it, EPRO or whatever, but it's the red flag law. If we look at the Parkland shooting, this guy Krauss was known to the school.
Mm-hmm.
He was known to the local police multiple times.
Yep.
Known to the FBI multiple times. There were officers at the school at the time of the shooting, and he still murdered 17 people. So I don't think red flags are going to work. In fact, I think it's going to be abused from day one.
Well, the problem is, Pete, the cops can't do anything. You can't go to jail for what you're thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what the red flag is.
Well, I understand that is to make you aware of people that might be dangerous, but you can't sit outside their house and, gee, I wonder if today is the day he's going to go shoot up a school. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. It'd be nice if we did know that, but normally they tell everybody what they want to do, but yet they don't do it on the day they're going to do it. They don't say, hey, Mom, I'm off to the school. I probably won't be coming back.
Well, there was still, 3 cops there?
Yeah.
At the school?
Just shows you what a motivated person can do.
Yeah. or what an unmotivated person or a coward doesn't do.
Yeah. Well, that too. So,
I mean, they're not going to work. They're going to be abused, just like asset forfeiture laws were abused.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll abuse this one too, guaranteed.
Well,
your ex-girlfriend that you,
yeah,
she don't like you anymore. Tom said this back then, and Tom said that. Next thing you know, they're knocking on your door, calling your BB gun away.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, the police don't know exactly where the station is, so we're glad of that.
I think they do.
The bottom line is that a bad gun is only taken out by a good gun, and the police within a minute took that guy down in Ohio, and they have video of it, of people running and the police heading right to the shooter, like right out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the police you have in your country are just such remarkable human beings. I mean, they really are. What a job.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you end up in that situation, run in a zigzag pattern.
That's right.
It's a lot harder to hit a moving target.
What is it from what's the movie? Serpentine.
Yeah,
Serpico.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He could hit a moving target.
Well, that's true.
But I just don't see. No, it's not the answer.
Yeah,
it's not the answer. And I guess the first thing I do is I ban these damn psychotropic drugs. All of these guys have been on them. Pretty much every damn shooter.
80% of the murders and shootings in your country are done with a handgun. So I mean that's just a fact.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same game with the bump stock.
Oh yeah.
Anybody that's handled an AR, I don't want a bump stock. If my goal is to kill a pile of people, I don't want no bump stock on my rifle. I don't even want a rifle that's fully automatic.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be, it's difficult to shoot accurately in the auto mode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't really
fun.
need
It's fun, but it's not very accurate.
Yeah, it's a blast. It wastes a lot of ammo. but you're not going to hit a lot.
You're sure? Yeah. You empty a magazine. You take out birds and ground squirrels and everything else.
You are gonna hit people if you're 10 feet in front of 200 people. Come on, give me a
That's
break.
true. You will. No question.
Yep. Okay. That's all I got for you guys.
Okay,
I don't think it's going to work.
Well, typical Tuesday morning. Thank you very much for cheering us up as usual.
Yeah,
we need to
you're
be a little
helping
more
Tom get through the
lighthearted.
day.
Right, yeah.
we need to be a little more lighthearted.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're trying to do, but...
Like, well, work on... Oh, Tom, you know what else?
What else?
Did they close Gallatin Airport?
They did.
Not because of me.
No, I'm just wondering because I haven't seen
It was
an
your fault
airplane.
because of your solar flare warning.
Yeah.
Oh,
You haven't seen any planes taking off or...
I ain't seen no contrails.
Oh, well, that
So I
must
guess
be
there's
it.
no planes flying.
They closed Maelstrom.
That's right, exactly.
They closed.
Good one, Eagle Man. You covered that one quickly. Nice comeback.
All right. Hey, thanks, Pete.
You bet. Have a good one.
All right, see you later. All right, Shay, we got another caller. We'll be right back right after this. Jeff Krauss will be in here shortly, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. It is Tuesday, August 26th. We've got callers waiting on the line, callers calling in, so let's go to the phones. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, this is Clint.
Hey, Clint, how are you?
Well, I'm pretty good. The sun's up. I'm still alive. I'm taking in nourishment, so I
That's
guess I'm
good.
okay.
All right, good deal.
The thing I want to talk about this morning is the Sunset Trailer Court.
Okay.
Maybe you could ask Jeff this. I can't call again, so maybe you can ask Jeff this.
Well, let's get Jeff on the line. Jeff's right here. So
Is he? So let me talk to him.
Clint's got a question for you, Jeff.
Hey,
so,
Clint.
yeah.
It was the master cylinder for a 49 to 52 Chevy pickup truck that I bought from your dad. That's when I first met the Canes.
That's right. If you remember, I bailed up about 3,000 cars down there on Griffith Drive.
Oh, I do remember, yes.
Yeah, that's my wrecking yard there. Anyway, I got a question here. Now, the city still owns that acreage out there north of town there on by the viaduct, don't they? Was there 80 acres in there?
You have to be more specific.
Well, it's the one Delaney and them had sued the city, and he collected a few bucks from you guys.
Nope, we don't own that anymore.
You don't own that.
No.
Who owns that?
A group of developers own that.
Well, is there any way there's no place for the people to live that are servicing the more wealthier people in town or even themselves? Is there some place that we could get and build a trailer court, a big trailer court, a big one, something that'll hold maybe somewhere 50 or 100 homes for these people? Because they're at Sunset, they're going to get paid all right, a few bucks to move, but where the hell are they going to move to?
Well,
There's no place for them to move, Jeff, and I'm really worried about those people and what happens, even though they're getting, $7,000 a piece? That's nothing today.
it's not a lot.
My granddaughter, to move into her apartment in town, it cost her damn near $3,000 just to get everything ready so she could move in.
First and last month's rent and a deposit. Yes,
Yep.
it does. Yep.
See, so what could we do as a community?
Well,
Not just the city, the county. What could we do to take care of these people?
I think the first thing you touched on a point. The first thing we have to do is stop thinking of it as a city of Bozeman issue, and yet the majority of the majority of the commission has told their 400th study consultants that it is just to be considered inside the city limits. So as long as we just focus inside the city limits where the land is extremely expensive, it's just not going to happen anymore. All of the marginal housing, for the most part, is being converted, has converted, or is being converted. And so,
I understand
you might have started in a double wide, or you might have started in a little house on Rouse that was next to the filling station or something. But all of those things are gone, and once you take that layer out, it's pretty hard to build affordable housing in today's market because just the land is so expensive.
Well, even a trailer park, they're going to insist on curbs and gutters and lighting and sewer and sidewalks and everything else, and a developer just can't put that in and set trailers on it.
Parkland, everything.
Yeah.
Well, we destroyed the one down there on Rouse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, time out. All right, nobody destroyed it. That was owned by a person, right? And he spent years and years and years babysitting people that couldn't make the rent and everything else in that place. And, it was time for him to retire, basically, and he sold the property. That's America, okay? I'm just saying it right now. It's your property. You own it. When you get tired of being a landlord,
you have a right to do whatever you want.
I don't think government say, I'm sorry, you're a landlord.
Well,
that's all you can be.
Yeah. Jeff, I never mentioned government at all, basically. I'm just saying that the city, this is government.
That is government.
The city of Bozeman and the county commission should come together some way to figure out something for these poorer people that are serving the more wealthier people, some place for them to live. And so far, this hasn't happened. Now, I built a small, tiny house out here. It's 16 by 24. It cost me, not count my labor, it cost me $8,000 to build that house on my own land, all right?
Yeah.
And I had city water and sewer, or my own water and sewer and everything, all up to standards. Okay. Now, why can't we, the county and the city, get one of these developers, one of these richer people, to build something like this, and and maybe give them a tax incentive or something, so that we can take care of the poor people that are serving the more wealthier people.
Here's your problems, Clint, and I'll give it to you real quick.
Yeah.
I talk about Kamloops all the time. City of 90,000 people.
Yeah.
781 square miles. That's how big it is. Bozeman, Montana, you've got 37,280, and it's less than 2,000 square miles.
Yeah, I understand that.
That's the problem. You need to incorporate more land into the city of Bozeman so you can solve the problem. That's all.
Well, if you incorporate it into the city of Bozeman, then you come in with all the impact fees and everything else, and nobody can afford to buy it.
Well, no,
that's true. I gotta go. I gotta go, Clint.
Well, I'm worried, but I don't know. I guess I'm crazy, but I'm the only guy that really worries about these other people because I see them every day. I see them at the local Four Corners Cafe. I talk to them on the streets. I talk to them in Walmart, and I'm going to tell you something. The disparity between the rich and the poor is going to come to a head one of these days. And I'm
run for county commissioner, Clint.
Yeah.
Huh?
Run for county commissioner.
Run for county commissioner.
Well, it sucks. Everything just sucks today.
I gotta go, man.
Okay,
hey,
bye.
Thanks for the call. All right, Shane, we still got a caller on the line. If you could converse with them, we'll be right back. 4 minutes for the top of the hour. Let's go to the phones. Caller, you are on the morning soapbox with Tom and Shane, and Jeff Krauss is also here. So, what's up?
Tom, this is Jay from Livingston calling.
How you doing?
Pretty good. I want to tell the people, the registered voters in Livingston, that there is a citizens initiative to change our form of city government from a city manager commission to an elected mayor and commission. We've got clipboards going around town getting signatures of registered voters from the last election. But we're going to have this coming Sunday at Sacagawea Park from 1 to 4. We are going to have sort of a trial, do a wind-up, and sort of get all the signatures and then turn them in because we want to have this on the November ballot.
Okay,
that
sounds
people,
good.
The citizens of Livingston can vote.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, you're very welcome. Good luck getting your signatures, and we'll see what the voters want to do. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Happy to help you out.
Okay, I have 1 minute before the next commercial, so here we go. Markets up 151, 25,867. Remember, the Dow Jones was at 27,000 yesterday.
It was.
And, the markets in Europe are all green. Asia are all red. Standard & Poor's is up 20, NASDAQ up 88. And, I guess a lot of this has to do with the commodity market. Crude oil is 54.76, catching up to Brent, which is at 59.98. And the currency exchange market hasn't shifted, even though the Chinese or the yuan is now 7-1 to the U.S. dollars. But that's so things in the U.S. remain cheap, and the tariffs are being paid by China, which we talked about, and prices of all those Chinese goods are not going to go up because the Chinese can't afford it. So I won't go into greater detail than that, except for the 10-year bond in the U.S., which of course is shrinking. It's now, the 10-year is 1.75. 30 years, 229. So as bond values or interest drops, the prices go up, and that's where everyone's fleeing to.
Okay, and gold too.
And gold too, yeah.
Gold's staying up a little bit too as well. You got a lot of gold, right, Jeff?
I have a little bit.
Gold.
I have a little bit of gold and silver, and yeah, I do, and I have some lead.
Oh, okay. You got that, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think everybody should have a little lead.
Yeah, certainly.
I think, I mean, I think a diversified portfolio is what it takes. Man, I get a little hinky at 27,000, I have to say.
Yeah, I know.
But
well, we thought we were going to 28, with that rate cut, but obviously we didn't. So China kind of came along and put the kibosh on that. So
intentionally.
Yeah, well, that too. But anyway, yeah, they got to do something to get this constant winning streak that Trump's on out of whack. So.
There's still a lot of cash sitting out there, waiting to invest. So I don't know whether it can fall so far before cash comes in. So, that's the other thing, right?
Well, after the recession, so many of these companies started buying up their stock and everything. So they are sitting on a lot of money out there. So, all right, we got to duck out of here. Jeff Krauss is in the house, as you undoubtedly heard, and well, we'll see what the city commission is up to when we come back. So stay tuned. Still got a full hour to go. Welcome back, everyone. 8 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It's Tuesday, August 6th, 2019, and 67 degrees outside. Shane Talman, half man, half amazing, and the keeper of the Jeff Krauss list is on the line with me. And Jeff Krauss, of course, three-time mayor of Bozeman and current city commissioner, is in the house. Glad to have you here every Tuesday. So
yeah, happy to be here. It's nice and cool in here.
It's nice in here. Yeah.
Wow. It's going to get hot again today.
It will be. Yeah, it will be. So what criminal enterprises did you guys pass last night?
We did pass all of the special assessments last night. So the tree maintenance district assessments stayed the same. Arterial and collector stayed the same.
Mm-hmm.
The street maintenance district went up a little bit. Street maintenance is interesting in that it, for decades we didn't maintain.
Is that the filling potholes or the street sweepers or both?
Yeah, that's both. That's all of that. For decades we didn't really rebuild any streets, and actually most streets are built with an SID in this
H Street was forever.
Right, I mean, 8th Street is forever. That's right.
That was an e-ticket ride.
But South Grand, you can see the trolley car tracks coming up, through the through the pavement, and because it's been so long since we built those, like decades and decades. And they were paid for with an SID. The next time rebuilding them comes around, that'll be an SID.
Mm-hmm.
But the street maintenance district is paid by everyone, including all the people that live on a street that's not going to have to need any maintenance for decades. Yeah. So, one of the great luxuries of living in a town like Bozeman is that we can afford, if we choose to maintain our infrastructure. We might not be able to do everything else. In my opinion, we can't do everything else, but we can maintain our infrastructure. And for decades, we didn't. And sort of, the excuse was, well, the feds stopped the block grants. Well, that's there are streets and we need to take care of them. And so I've supported it over time, but it is getting pretty big. And I think we need to have a discussion about who we're really subsidizing, which is the old part of town with the street maintenance.
Yeah, the rousters are finally coming home to roost.
Yeah, they are. Exactly.
Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you're on with Jeff Krauss. What's up?
Good morning. This is Charity.
Hi.
Don't want to interrupt your street talk too long because I want to hear about progress.
Oh good.
But I've had this thought weighing on my mind for a couple days, and so I don't know if Jeff, you're the right person to ask about this, but thought maybe I'd get the ball rolling. I am part of the staff at a small private school, and something different that happened this year than last year was that we have just received security training that includes being informed that several of the staff are concealed carry owners. And anyway, I was just curious about Bozeman in general, like with our public schools or just general population, because of what's happening in so many different areas throughout the United States. Is there anything that, like, Bozeman City Commission looks into or does on a regular basis to help inform people about security risk and security management and how we could go about protecting ourselves other than just, being armed or with people that are armed? But anyway, I was just curious. Do you have anything like that goes on citywide?
So I don't know of anything. I guess what I would say is, I boil the question down: do the police do armed shooter response training at smaller institutions? I would say no, they don't.
They don't.
Okay. But I don't know that for a fact. That's a good question for Steve Crawford. I haven't heard of that program.
I bet they have some kind of directive on it or something like that. Maybe they don't actively go out and practice it, but I bet they've got videos or something.
I bet the police go out and actively practice response.
Yeah,
but I don't know whether they have a training program or not, where you could call them up and say, "Hey, can you come give this training?"
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
And then and it's not just the police, but the emergency. So we have this larger entity, Gallatin County Emergency Response, and I'm not sure in disaster. I'm not sure whether they do either. It's a good question for Steve and the sheriff, and I'll see what I can come up with for an answer. Yeah.
And maybe, Tom, you could have someone come on the air that could talk about this. Cause
that's a good idea.
I would like to know because, a Walmart shooting is no less likely than a school shooting in our current environment. And just thinking about, I know that private entities can hire private security, and they can also hire, like what happened with us was they had someone who is a security person at a local church. They are the ones that came and gave us our conference or whatever that we had concerning this. And anyway, so I was just curious, is there something, I think Jeff answered my question concerning that, but I would like to know if there could be more done in our community. So.
I'll have to call and see if we can get Chief Crawford on maybe and see what we had Sheriff Gookin on some time back, but we didn't talk about their response, or we talked more about the opioid and the immigrant situation more so than this. But that's a great suggestion, Charity. I will try to work on that and see if we can't get Chief Crawford in here to talk about that.
Thank you.
Yep, sure. Thanks for the call.
Either the chief or the sheriff, I think, would be, or the emergency guy. And one of those three, I think, would be.
Well, I talked to the sheriff to see what he would recommend for that. That we could we could do that.
And I think it's a good idea. You know, I've had that training 2 or 3 times, but it was where I worked, a large institution, and then of course, you know, I read about it online. Right? It's changed a little bit over the years too. So it's, you know, now they encourage you to fight, and you read about the guy in the you know, in Dayton there that grabbed the shooter's rifle and took it away from him.
Yeah.
Right. So you know, the change in the response, you know, that's recommended is worth going over. So you know, I think that it's a good suggestion. Certainly, preparedness. I don't know what the odds are to be in an active shooter situation. My suspicion is it's someone less than car accident or, you know,
or something like that,
right.
maybe.
I think it's still very low. I read, you know, I don't want to minimize it at all, but I think that you know, we tend to react to these big things when the stuff that gets you, you know. So in the 1950s, right, small children couldn't go outside and play in the summer, right, because of polio, right? You and I remember polio, and it affected a ton of people, right? Many families. And I still know people that had polio. And so there was polio, and then there was nuclear war, and we were scared of those. But we were driving around in cars that didn't have seatbelts, and everybody chain smoked. Yeah. Right? So there were, you know, what was killing us was the nuclear war, right? Right. And so we tend to focus on these giant things, sort of like we could die in a plane crash when, no, you're going to die on the way to the airport, right? Right, yeah. You know, so more than likely. But I think having preparedness training, having someone in the law enforcement LEO community that does preparedness training for smaller entities would be an excellent idea, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, from our text line 478-8298, does Walmart have any security officers? I don't know if they do or not. I haven't seen anybody armed at Walmart, as you know, in some kind of uniform or anything like that.
Well, Tom, I got grilled one time when I was county treasurer about how I made deposits in the bank.
Oh yeah,
and I lied.
Yeah,
I told them, at this specific time every day, you know, I took it over there, and of course I never did that time. Because why would you ask me to publicly come out and tell them why I'm taking tens of thousands of dollars out of the bank? Come on. So if there are security personnel in Walmart, some of them probably should be not so visible, right?
Well, I was telling my wife yesterday, I went to Walmart to pick up a prescription for her. You know, the day after all this happened, or 2 days after it happened, I guess. And I told her when I got home, I never thought for a second about the mass shooting walking into Walmart.
Yeah.
And I've always said that I always feel safe in Montana because I know within 6 or 8 feet of me, there's probably somebody carrying.
There are a lot of concealed carry in Montana, and of course you can open carry too.
I was going to say you can open carry anywhere in the state. So,
maybe not in bars, and maybe not, and probably not in the courthouse and in City Hall.
There's probably some places. Yeah,
you know, there are some places where you're not empowered to carry at all. So
but I've seen people in Walmart before with sidearms and things from time to time, and you know don't think much about it. You know, I don't go, oh my God, that guy's armed. Is he going to start shooting? And
I don't, you know, maybe that makes us more vulnerable because none of us would immediately think, he's going to start shooting, right? Or she or whatever. It's always a
not
he.
here
so
anyway.
We wouldn't. We would think, there's a guy.
You would think he's come in from the range. He's got it for snakes or bears or whatever.
But most of the time, I think there is a sign now that says, you go to just about any place that sells
the VA,
guns,
you can't.
They have,
the VA's got a sign there. No firearms or weapons there. And I don't know about Walmart, but
I think you have to check it at the door.
Yeah.
And then it has to be unloaded.
Or check it somewhere,
and, it has to be a certain way. Yep.
All right. We've had a caller. Caller, are you still on the air? I'm sorry. You still there?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would like to propose that when you get your concealed carry permit, that they assign you a vest that says you are a concealed carry person. It's numbered, so if it gets away from you, and you are held responsible for it. So if somebody kipes your concealed carry vest, that anything they do with that, you are responsible for. I think that way our police officers wouldn't shoot them, because that has happened. That the police officer shot a concealed carry man.
Because he had a gun, and they thought, hey, that's the guy we're after.
Yeah,
so,
and there was an active shooter, and he was protecting people, getting them out the door, and the police shot him. It's scary being a police officer. But like I said, they can provide them, when you get your concealed carry permit, maybe a vest, and it's numbered. So if you lose it or it gets stolen, you can report it. And then if somebody uses it in a crime, then they can be, you can be partially held responsible if it's like your nephew that's got it. Okay. So I just think we need to do something to help protect the concealed carry people from the officers. Not that the officers are trying to hurt them, but, they just don't know. You walk up with a guy and a gun, you don't know if that guy's good, bad, or indifferent.
That's true.
So
right,
I think we should figure out a way to help our concealed carry people not get shot by officers, and the officers definitely don't want to shoot them.
That's for sure.
Okay, have a good day.
Hey, thanks for the call. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. It's 20 minutes after the hour. It's Tuesday, August 6th, 2019, 69 degrees, and Shaman Taubin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia, and he has a point, I know, about concealed carry and weapons. You don't?
No. This is from the Jeff list.
Oh, so, from the Jeff list. All right.
Jeff list. It's time.
Yeah. Okay.
We need a little bumper for the Jeff list.
We should have we should have some kind of a little song thing for it.
You start out the conversation at 7:00 about a meeting last night and passing assessments, and you mentioned 2 or 3 that you'd passed. But would you be kind enough, because people want to know what the budgets are, if you'd go through the 2 or 3 assessments you passed, and then what the budgets for each of them were.
Yeah, I didn't bring any budget information with me today, Shane.
What's the budget of the city right now?
Probably, I think we just bumped $200 million this year, right? But remember, that includes the Law and Justice Center build, which is a huge
you talking about the safety building?
Yeah, the public safety building.
Not the Law and Justice Center.
Well, it's the municipal Law and Justice Center, however you want to call it.
I think the Law and Justice Center would have a better chance of passing if they called it something else.
Yeah, like the old Catholic high school.
Yeah, I don't know. The old Catholic high school. That's a good name for it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think we spend about we were levying about $800,000 a year to do tree maintenance in Bozeman, I think. The street maintenance is over $6 million, probably approaching $7 million for street maintenance, and then collector and arterial.
Does that include plowing?
It's in the street budget. Plowing is in the street budget, so I'm sure it does. Okay. Yeah. And then in the old days, when I first moved here, we didn't plow local streets.
Yeah.
Local streets started getting plowed in the 80s, I think even late 80s, before local streets started getting plowed. Before that, you met somebody coming the other way, you backed up to the intersection and let them by.
You just had one set of
You had one rail right there that you stayed on. Yeah. So that one's $6 million. I think it's about. Is it 1.3 or 1.4 million we do in collector and arterial? That got reduced by when the legislature increased the gas tax and rebated some of that to local government. Those are for collectors and arterials. Generally speaking, that's to match the impact fee money to do all the building that we're doing around town. So a lot of the streets that we're expanding, and you name it, are being expanded with a combination of money from the street, from the arterial and collector tax, and the impact fees.
Okay. Let's take a call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Calling you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning.
Hey.
I'd like to go back to the lady who thinks you should be liable if somebody steals your concealed carry gun.
Okay.
I wonder if she'd like to be liable if somebody steals her car, drives it through a crowd.
Good question.
It's an inanimate object. Car's an inanimate object. And she thinks liability should follow the object.
Yeah. No, I see your point.
Also on a related subject, most of these mass shootings occur by people that are mentally disturbed and they're on psychotropic drugs. And so somebody knows that they're mentally deficient, but they don't have the ability to tuck them away. And that changed, I think, during the Reagan administration. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, thanks for the call.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Yeah. Let's see. From our text line, we got a few comments on the vest deal.
No doubt. Well, you and I offline, our hair kind of stood on end on that too. Yeah.
Let's see. Society has let morals go down the drain for the past 50 years. Everything goes. Now their policies of no discipline are biting them in the rear, and true to form, they need something to blame it on, a gun, as they could never self-reflect and look at their failed lifestyles. Vest would never work. Not enough time, I guess. I'm not sure what we mean there, but let's see. How would that keep a person from being shot? Do they have to wear the vest on the outside of their clothes? Vest.
The biggest problem you have with the vest idea is the shooter goes and gets one before he does his shooting.
Well, that's what she was talking about. If they stole your vest or your weapon, would you be liable because you didn't keep control of your vest?
No, but if they issued the vest because you bought a gun.
Yeah, it'd be numbered. It'd be numbered and specific to you. So if somebody stole it, vest for concealed carry is a silly idea. The whole point is the bad guy doesn't know who's got a gun. And let's see, has the city started doing anything about the light pollution, aka streetlights? You do anything about the streetlight pollution?
Well, that's one that I pound on really hard. That somehow, we took the old part of town. We like the old part of town, which is dark.
Right.
And we adopted the national standards so that we turned the new part of town into something practically unlivable.
Yeah.
And, we light those streets like the surface of the sun.
Yeah.
And we say, well, that's the national standard. Well, what we wanted to do was create a town that was like the old part of town that everybody values. It's dark at night, for example. The streets are narrower, they're slower. And yet, by adopting national standards, we turned the new part of town into generica like everyone else. We betrayed what it is we said we were going to do, which is create a town like the old part of town and duplicate what we like about Bozeman. And we just simply betrayed that in the interest of making it easy. Adopting the national standard. What we need is a standard that says it's dark at night, take a headlamp, take a flashlight, and use your headlights when you drive down the road. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Dark at night out in the county, too, you know?
As you were pointing out, streetlights probably shouldn't be any higher than the stoplight standards are, and they're about, 12 feet higher at least?
They are at least that. Most of them around town now are as tall as the ones on the interstate.
Oh, yeah.
Where the speed limit's at 75 or 80. You know, I mean, I don't get this. We just have to have this because what we need to do is slow down to 25, compact the streets, and make sure that the people that live in Bozeman find it livable.
Yeah. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on with Jeff Krauss. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. Well, all these mass shootings, they all have three things in common. And one of them is they're all happening in gun-free zones. Two, as the last caller pointed out, they're all mentally deranged. And three, if you really do your research on these people, James Paddock, the Denver shooting, the last about 15 shootings have all pretty much been liberals who vote Democrat. So I'm calling for taking guns away from liberals. Only conservatives can have guns now. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call. That's a perfect way to end this segment, huh? When we come back, we got to talk a little bit about WinCo Foods. We'll keep the gun stuff going if you guys want to. Our poll question of the day: in what year were you born? And 47% between 1961 and 1980, and 38% between 1941 and 1960, and 14% between 1981 and 2000. So we've got pretty diverse audience out there that are answering our poll question today. So
there's some millennials out there.
Yeah. Millennials love Tom and Shane.
I love it. That's great.
All right. We'll be right back after the news at the bottom of the hour, weather, and other stuff. So stay tuned. Jeff Krauss is with us, and we'll be right back. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. We had a caller patiently waiting on the line with Shane. So let's go to the phones. Caller, you're on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And Jeff Krauss, what's up?
Well, now I'm all talked out.
Well, I know. he wears you out, doesn't he?
Yeah. Two things, gentlemen. One, I was talking about a friend of mine who was open carry, and he went into Costco, and management came up and asked him to leave because customers were complaining it was making them nervous to see him carry a gun. So that's locally. But the other thing, Jeff, I'm really curious about, I've been hearing about unarmed robbery taking place every day here in town with people who are looking for apartments. And they are being asked, and this has been going on for years, but it seems to be just out of control, where people who are trying to find houses or apartments are being asked to pay fees per person. So if there's a couple that's looking for a place, they have to pay a fee for each person who's applying. If they have kids, it applies to them too, to just apply to find out if they can get on a list for an apartment. And this is, I just talked to a couple that have paid up to $300 in fees now just to try to find an apartment. And when I heard one of the stories yesterday, what they're doing, it may even be advertising for apartments that don't exist just to collect fees from people. And they don't get responses back from those who they're paying the fees to.
Is this like an apartment finder service?
There are management.
Or are they just
I think it's management companies.
Management companies. And this is going on all over town. And who regulates this? I mean, they're raking in a lot of money. And these people are at their mercy.
Yeah, landlord law is specifically state law, and the city ventures into landlord law at its own risk. Every time we've tried it, the legislature and the landlords associations have made sure we understand who sets the laws around here, and that is that kind of regulation. Really is those are state laws. And,
all right. What about Better Business Bureau? Is there any application here to that?
I don't know. I've never called the Better Business Bureau, or if we even have one here in Bozeman.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we have a state one, but I don't think it's called the Better Business Bureau, and I don't remember what it's actually called. But
what is the recourse for these people? I mean, I've heard firsthand stories of people who wait in line to go see a basement apartment. And these basement apartments are $1,500. The one I heard yesterday, $1,500 to $1,800 a month.
Wow!
And this is obscene, plus paying a fee up front.
Before we moved to Bozeman from San Diego, I ran an ad in the Bozeman paper, reward, help us find an apartment.
Did you really? Wow, that was
Did it work?
I didn't have to pay the reward because the people that rented us our first house here were happy to have us, and we could afford it, and at the time.
Yeah, no, that's different. It's an incredibly overheated rental market. Rental vacancies, last time I checked, were zero.
Yeah.
Right, or as close to essential zero as you can get there. People moving here are trying to get their foot in a door that is where the room behind it is full, and I guess my suggestion is use more, try to find the reputable.
Somebody's been around for a while,
check out who you're dealing with first.
Yeah.
And it does sound like a lot of places now are making you pay an application fee to run a credit check and look at your background and call your employer and those kind of things. In response to the volume, I think, is part of it. But it could easily be that an unscrupulous group of people could just take your money and run.
Sure. Yeah.
And that would be a crime if you really weren't offering. That would be fraud, wouldn't it? I mean,
we've seen it on Craigslist where
cops.
they, the house is for sale, and pay us a fee to, apply for this house. You go down there, and the house isn't for sale.
It's someone else's house.
Yeah, that's been going on Craigslist for quite a while.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday they were talking about that they were waiting on an apartment that was becoming available in 1 to 2 weeks. So they followed up on it, and the woman said, "Oh no, that may be 1 to 2 months," and then gave an additional story to indicate that it may not even be for rent. And she took their money, had taken their money in advance. So there's one case that's active right now, and so he's leaving work today to try to see if he can go get his money back at least.
Yeah.
But because it was a misrepresentation.
Yeah, my son hired a lawyer to deal with one of his unscrupulous landlords. So I think whenever you have a market like this, it's ripe for fraud and unscrupulous people, and
you have to weigh the cost of fees against the lawyer. Because you just may break even.
You might just break even, but you might do it to try to make the point.
That's true.
With regard to rentals, I think there are going to be a number of big apartment complexes going up.
Yeah.
South Cottonwood Road is going to be a big one. There's a couple other big ones coming down the pike. That might help a little bit, but the demand is just so great. And you can always call the police and talk to them about it, right?
Yeah.
And see what they have to say. And if they get enough complaints about a person or a company, then they'll check it out. They certainly will. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for the call. I got to go, and we got to pay a couple bills here, so we'll be right back right after this. 13 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Tuesday, August 6th, 2019. Shane in Vancouver wants to weigh in on this discussion. What's up, man?
Well, I'm a bit confused, so maybe Jeff can explain it to me. It seems to me that if a management company is taking care of a property for someone, they're charging that individual a fee to be the manager. So I don't see why they would have the right to charge someone to, money to check their, their credit score, because that's what they do. That's their job. That's what they're paid for. They're paid by the owner to do that, so the owner doesn't have to. So
to find the renters and take care of the property. Yeah,
that's their job. So it sounds like a scam to me, and I don't see how you could justify it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. From our text line, 478-8298, landlords have learned to CYA with credit checks and background checks and references. Laws have made it where it can take months and months and months to evict a bad tenant or even someone who quits paying the rent. And that's probably true, because they have a right to that property until the courts say and the sheriff comes, and by the time it goes all the way through the court system and whatever, it can be quite lengthy by the time you kick that person out.
And in the meantime, they can trash your property.
I've been paying all summer for an apartment for my daughter for college since April. The apartment is vacant because her and her roommate are not even here for the summer. It's a racket in this valley. Well, if you give up the apartment for 4 months, then somebody else is going to rent it, and you're going to lose it more than likely. I don't know that for sure unless you've got some kind of a agreement with the owner of some kind.
Yeah, sure. Long ago, they would say, an apartment complex would say, well, we'll try to sublet it over the summer for someone moving here, look until they can move in, and then we'll take a fee, but you're still going to pay us over the summer. But I don't know of any time when I didn't know of people who rented all year round and maybe went home for the summer and then said, hey, someone want to come in and pay me to live there. That's college town stuff right there. I think ubiquitous across the country.
Yeah, I don't see any wringing of the hands about abortion, opioid deaths, or human trafficking because the agenda is depopulation. But boy, do they wring their hands when it comes to shooting agenda. Take away your guns for ultimate power. I'm surprised that Steve was so upset about the hypocrisy concerns in Chicago. I mean, after all, he was wearing an I don't give a rat's ass shirt at the gala on the 26th. So
be careful your T-shirt, right?
That's right. Be careful your T-shirt. All right. Sounds good to me. I don't know. We've got one here. We've got some text regarding HRDC that I hate to put something out there that I can't verify.
Yeah.
On a particular company, I don't have any obligation to HRDC, but
right. I would be careful not. I don't want knowing the facts.
Yeah. If I knew more about the situation, that would be better. But I do say all views are welcome here, but we do have to have, we have the liability of the station to think about also. But.
Yeah, you don't want to be quoted in the courtroom, Tom.
No, I don't want to be quoted in the courtroom.
I don't want to go anywhere near the courtroom if I can.
That's right, exactly, yeah. Stay away from that one.
That would be the way.
Those words we can't use.
All right. We got to take another quick break because we got to get the Rush update in. And I know you're all on pins and needles wondering what Rush has to say today. So here you go. Here's Rush. 4.5 minutes left in the show today. From our text line, for the love of God, Americans pay tariffs. We learned this in the 5th grade. Stop the spin. Google is your friend. Well, current tariff income to the United States of America is $66.1 billion so far. So there you are. Tell Clint we do not want socialized capitalism. He should invest with other like-minded residents of the county to create his own low-income housing development. So why not? The disparity between the rich and poor lies in the poor's unwillingness to improve their situation. Wealthy people usually aren't wealthy by accident. Someone was willing to work hard for the money. If you can't afford to live in the Gallatin Valley, then move somewhere you can. This is America. We're not held down by chains. Trump wants red flag laws. Anyone can red flag you. Your dog barks at your neighbor and he turns you in, trading liberty for security. And WinCo Foods is a great non-union company to work for. I grew up in an area that is pretty much all union, but non-union shops are good too. They follow all federal and state labor laws exactly. Although they are not a union store, they are a lot of similarities to a union guidelines that they follow. I am a former employee and highly support their new stores wherever they open. So there you are.
Well, you had a good article, Jennifer. I think covered it pretty well. People need to remember it was that they applied, they made an application. It was reviewed by the planning staff. It was found to not have any reason to go to the city commission. It was approved by the planning director, right? The community development director. So the application was approved by, administratively. because it met, he found that it met everything. That approval was appealed, so it's the appeal to the commission. The commission studied it and decided to turn down the appeal. Upheld the community development director's decision. We upheld the director's decision.
To okay the application.
The application, right?
And then WinCo has joined you, I believe, in defending the suit.
Well, there's if they have, thanks, but I think
that's what
I
understand. Anyway.
But I think that we all should, everybody should understand that here's an application that got approved administratively, got appealed, and that appeal was denied, so that the approval continued. And now it's in front of district court. So
we got plenty of time, Shane. Don't worry.
And it is that suit in district court by people who are saying, well, they logged on and found that early in the process you apply, and then your application gets sent back, and it says, well, not everything's complete, and then you apply, and then they say you got to add things. That isn't an indication of disapproval.
All right. Say goodbye, Shane.
Goodbye, Mayor. Thanks, Jeff, for being in the house. Everyone be happy, be safe. Talk to you tomorrow, Mayor.
All right. Thanks, Shane. All right. We got to go. And thanks for being here, Jeff, as always.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for the info, and we appreciate very much. Mike McCormick will be here tomorrow, and so we'll be chatting with him, of course. And, tomorrow's hump day, so Tuesday, the worst day of the week, like a second Monday, is over. So the only redeeming thing about Tuesday is you're here, Jeff. So
all right, it's good to contribute some way.
That's right. Okay. Everybody be happy, be safe. We'll see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning, 6 a.m.